Welcome back, marketing hosts. I'm gonna teach you today how to set up your Google Analytics so you can track checkouts and guest behavior through the Guesty booking website. And I'm going to assume that you're familiar with the Guesty booking website. Yeah, I guess it's better if I look in the camera here. So when you have the Guesty PMS system, they give you a free website that you can use either with your own domain or you can use a subdomain with them. And basically they allow you to put in your own JavaScript. So we're going to use that to do Google Analytics, but you can use it for other things like maybe a HubSpot, a tracking code, or some other third-party tracking code. But anyways, we're focusing on Google Analytics. And so what we want to do is go ahead and get our new property created, which is going to be on GA4. So you're already good to go. If you create any properties around this time, anywhere till next year of the launch, the official launch of GA4 and the retirement of UA, basically it'll be a GA4 property. So once you're in your analytics account, go ahead and make sure you're under the account that you want to be setting up, and then click create property. We're gonna call this Guesty Booking Demo. I'm gonna change my time zone, yada yada yada. So you've got the option to create still your universal analytics property. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep with the latest and the greatest. So let's go with travel, small. And then we can click on create. So we're doing a website, and these are all the defaults that get measured. So page views, scrolls, outbound, clicks, site search, video engagement, file downloads, and we've got enhanced. So here they're asking me for basically the stream name and the website. So I'm gonna go over to my Guesty booking site. I don't have a custom domain, I'm just using the subdomain, so you can use either or, it's fine. Whatever you got going on. Okay, I've created my stream, and then now it popped up with basically the measurement ID, all the good stuff that I need, but what we want here is the global site tag. So copy this code down here. Yeah. Now let's go over to Guesty, and you want to get into the booking site manager, and to do that, just real quick, hopefully you're there, but integrations and then Guesty, click on the property. Property being the website that you're adding this to. So head down to the bottom, and there's a snippet here. I'm just gonna add it at the top and hit save. You can always verify that with the tag manager plugin. That's at the top here once you go to the site, but so I'm gonna refresh and just make sure I got that going on. So here we go. We have got ending in D9S. I always do that so I don't get confused here, but yeah, that's the measurement ID that we want. So right now we're generating some traffic. So it's going to take a little bit of time here just to get things rolling with the reports. All right, so there we go. So we've got one user on desktop, so that was me. We don't have our data yet, but what I'm going to do is show you what happens when I do a booking. I don't have the payment set up yet for this, but what I do have is just the manual. So you'll get an email. You have the option to do both. Like you'll just get an email when someone requests to book. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to hit book. Now, this is important, but our URL doesn't change at the top, so because it's inline and this kind of just pops up. So I'm just gonna fill this out here. Okay, I've read the terms and conditions, so that's fine. I'm gonna review and click request to book. And what we want to do is capture this URL at the top for later. And I'm gonna just post the stuff that you need anyways. It's gonna be either it's gonna be a link for the blog. I'll probably just put it in the description, one or the other. So we're gonna see what data we captured by default before we go ahead and set up our conversion information in our funnel and actually just make sure that Google knows to capture that checkout event and we can track those. So I will be back very shortly. All right, so I'm back 24 hours later. So essentially it was a new GA4 property and it can take up to 24 to 48 hours before data starts coming in from analytics for the new property. So just to follow up, so Guesty has the same title pretty much for every page. They've got two. So that's not going to give us much insight into what our goals, events, and even our funnels. So if we actually come down to page view, what we would want to see to help us out is page locations. And then if we do that in any particular instance, we're going to see all of these locations that we have. But this being the home page, anything that's like listings slash a listing ID. So this one here would indicate that someone is looking at the listing. If they do a search on that property for an available date, it'll look like this. So it's slash listing slash property ID and then a date range. And then if they click to book and get to the next step, it will have that that book question mark prefix, which would be right here. So slash book question mark and then the date range. So that gets us to the point where we're filling in our details, which is going to be, so we would start here, click on the property slash property ID, then we do a date range, and then that's going to be like what the date range added. And then if we click book, we're going to see that book question mark with the range, and that gets us to the guest details. So you can use those paths throughout the event to actually hone in on a funnel that way, but you're going to have that information in the session path as well. So it's basically, do you want to go back and look at the session path for each one, or do you want to focus in as the whole thing as being like a checked out conversion? But let's go over back in here. So we've got the URL path we need. So now we're going to head over to configure. And hopefully they fix this little menu glitch at some point. We've got our standard events here. We want to take advantage of page view, and but we don't want to use this existing one as a conversion. We want a specific path to book, which is going to be, well, the one we saw at the beginning there was ending with, yeah, a successful booking will have reservation flow equals success. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to head over to events. I'm going to create event. And I'm going to call it booked. The event name equals, now it's part of the page view events. So it's just not every page view that we want. So we have to hone in on the successful booking. So the parameter name is going to be page location. So that's actually like not the title, since the title is the same throughout the whole booking process, which we just saw. It's not unique to a page. We want the page location, which is gonna be basically the URL. And instead of writing out the whole thing, we want to catch all of the properties, unless you really wanted to chop those up into tracking specific properties. Maybe you're doing a campaign for one in particular. then go ahead and do like maybe some other parameter, starts with or contains. I would just do contains and do 3 operators. So one contains the ID, and then the next one will be the booking path at the end, if that makes any sense. So page location contains, we don't have to do the URL, reservation flow equals success, and we're going to create that. Boom, and then go to conversions, new conversion event. We have to call it the same as the same name as the event we just set up. That's going to be the correlation. So saved, and then mark as conversion. Okay, so let's see if we did everything properly, or we need to go back to school. Cool, so let's go ahead and refresh this. I just want to make sure. Let's go back to the beginning. Going to accept. All right, head back over to analytics. Cool, all right, so that came in a few seconds later. We've got booked event name. In the last 30 minutes conversions, booked 100%. And nor there or an events hasn't tracked anything yet, even though we saw in real time, of course, that there is a conversion event booked. So we're gonna have to now wait for that to show up so we can further look at our data. So I will be back again, and I swear this is all working, but we're kind of going through the process and learning together. So I will be right back. Okay, so you can't really tell, but some time has elapsed actually. So again, it's going to be 24 to 48 hours before data comes in from analytics, and if you're collecting data on a regular basis and you have a lot of it, you can expect that process to speed up, but attribution will trickle down over time. So yeah, I mean, what you're seeing today is not necessarily what happened yesterday, but the good thing is attribution will show up in the date that it happened. Therefore, if I look at basically 2 days ago, I'll see that the conversion happened 2 days ago, even though I'm seeing it today or yesterday or whatever the case. So if I scroll down in report snapshots, I'm seeing here my event is booked and it's marked as a conversion. So I can head over to the conversions now. Similar under the event count, I'm going to see it being here. The notable difference here, if I go to events, is that, yeah, this will actually show up now because we don't just have the 5 defaults. We've added that 6th one called book. We've got 1 event count from 1 user. I can then go ahead and click on booked and I can see more about this. It'll show up what's in the last 30 minutes, etc. So even though there's that delay in analytics, if you were to go into real time or even to come to the event screen and look at the last 30 minutes, which is part of the real-time reporting, you'll actually see the booked event here. It's just that it won't show up under the conversions or the previous section that we just looked at for a day or two in most cases. And now we can go down to conversions. And yep, it's going to show up under here. And the traffic source is direct. And then we can look at source, medium, campaign. So what we can do is, until there's more data, I believe, we're going to have to use User Explorer, and the events are counted by user also. So I believe, according to the help guide there, that when you have more data, you don't have to just rely on the user exploration. So if we go to the user explorer here, at least in this instance, we'll be able to see this user session, which is me, everything that was involved from day 1. And so, well, this was on April 28th, this was April 29th, whereas today is the 2nd of May, so a few days has passed, but we're going to be able to see here the flag denotes conversions. They've got the little guides up here of what everything means. This is the user ID. Now what I can do is look at the book, and if I click the little checkbox, I can create a segment. So it's, the event is booked and is conversion in this case. And I can also build an audience, and this is really what we want to see after we build up some users. So membership duration 30 days, audience trigger, we can create a new trigger on that as well. You're going to want to read into that, or maybe we'll do it in another video. But once you've got enough data, you're going to want to build that audience, and hopefully you're going to target or retarget at some point if you're doing ads, or at least build the audience so you can run some more fine-grained data on things like path and so on. One other thing that'll make it a little bit easier to get quick data if you're not in Explorer is I'm going to go back to reports and then go on to, where do I want to go? Pages and screens. So again, those titles are going to be the same because we're not distinguishing, but remember we can go back to page path and then we can look at that. I've got my window a little bit smaller to fit inside the screen. But we can search here by conversions. We can just scroll down, or we can go to booked. Okay, so my conversion is here. I see I have one conversion, and this would be our success, reservation flow equals success. So that's just a quick way to take a look at things. So when you're setting up new events, remember, if you don't want to just have your event as just people who checked out and you want to actually have more of a funnel, you can always add those previous steps where they've either gone to a specific listing or they've done a search and then they've checked out. And you could even go as far as to have like referral and things like that. So you can set up multiple, but this is at least a way for you to track where the traffic came from that did book, create an audience, and correlate that to the bookings that you received from Guesty. So I'm going to look into some other PMS and some other ways that we can track data, either both when you have a site or don't have a site, and how you can put that to work right away to build your audience, capture data from your guests and potential guests, and how you can use that to start actually going after customers to drive direct bookings. So I hope this helped. Let me know how you can improve or what you want to see, and if you have any comments about this or anything to add that would benefit other hosts, please drop comments and let us know what your thoughts are. Don't forget to check out my blog at hostmatic.io/blog and sign up for the beta release of our platform, which we haven't disclosed yet, but it's going to be something great and it's going to help you out a ton if you're a host and you want to know more about your data. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.